nasi.
Mr. Emmanuel from ITU.
Ndugu Emmanuel kutoka ITU, tafadhali ungana nasi.
Dr. Assam from Egypt.
Assam kutoka Misri, tafadhali ungana nasi.
Professor Charles from Nigeria.
Professor Charles kutoka Nigeria, tafadhali ungana nasi.
Did we have Millennium?
Na Millennium.
Yeah, Youth IGF.
Kutoka IGF.
You sit here. Sit. We'll find a seat for the Youth IGF. Organizer, please bring more seat here.
Tafadhali waandaaji wa mkutano, tunaomba mlete kiti kingine hapa jukwaani.
We need. I'm going now, let's start now. I'm going to ask each of my panelists to introduce him or herself for 1 minute. Let me start by you, Youth IGF coordinator.
Good morning. My name is Millennium Anthony. I am the coordinator of the Tanzania Youth IGF, but I am also part of the Africa Youth IGF. Thank you.
Next, please.
So good morning. My name is Professor Charles Simone. I'm the immediate past Vice Chancellor of Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Nigeria. And I'm now on sabbatical. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Barata Ngea, the founder of Girl Hype, Women Who Code. But in the IGF sector, I've been coordinating women in IGF.
Bonjour, je suis Alijamatou Saliou-Arekpa, et coordinatrice du réseau des parlementaires pour le numérique et l'identification des personnes, députée à l'Assemblée nationale du Bénin.
Good morning. My name is Emmanuel Manasseh, the ITU Regional Director for Africa.
Well, last but not least, I am Hussein El Gamal. I'm a Global MAG member. I am also the ambassador of the International Chamber of Commerce Digital Transformation to Africa and the ex-chairman of AFICTA, and I represent the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you. I have another panelist, Honorable Jacqueline. Jacqueline, please introduce yourself, and after you come join us. Please, come to join us.
Tafadhali tunakuomba ungana na sisi, Jacqueline.
Okay, thank you so much, Makta. My name is Jacqueline Amongin, and I'm a member of parliament from Uganda. I represent Uganda in the East African Legislative Assembly and a member of the East African Parliamentarians Network on Internet Governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have an idea on the background of our panelists and their key role on the development of the ICT landscape in the continent. I'm going to start by Honorable from Benin. Honorable, I'm going to ask you this question in French, because the official language of Benin is French. Honorable, le Bénin vient d'accueillir il y a de cela 2 semaines le sommet africain sur la mise en œuvre des recommandations du sommet mondial sur la société de l'information qui a été adopté en 2005. L'une des importantes conclusions de ce sommet africain qu'on appelle SMA 6+20 a été l'adoption de la déclaration de Cotonou sur le SMSI pour l'Afrique. En 5 minutes, pouvez-vous nous faire le résumé des messages clés de cette déclaration? 5 minutes, s'il vous plaît.
Merci à vous. Merci pour la question. Honorables collègues parlementaires, distingués invités, chers partenaires, c'est avec une grande fierté que je prends donc la parole aujourd'hui au nom de l'Assemblée nationale du Bénin, pays hôte du sommet régional africain sur la société de l'information qui s'est tenue du 14 au 16 mai 2025 à Cotonou. Ce sommet historique s'est conclu par l'adoption, en effet, de la déclaration de Cotonou, texte structurant pour une transformation numérique africaine, inclusive, durable et ambitieuse à l'horizon 2030. La responsabilité panafricaine portée par le Bénin n'a pas seulement accueilli cet événement, il a assumé la responsabilité politique et morale, car nous savons que le numérique est désormais un pilier du développement, un levier pour l'éducation, la santé, la bonne gouvernance et l'intégration régionale. Enjeux clés urgents identifiés par les 16 pays présents et les partenaires sont inégalité d'accès et de connectivité. En effet, malgré le progrès, la connectivité en zone rurale reste insuffisante. Avec un coût élevé des données, cela freine l'inclusion numérique. La faible inclusion des groupes marginalisés, les femmes, les personnes handicapées, les jeunes ruraux restent trop souvent en marge des services numériques. Les retards enregistrés face aux technologies émergentes, l'absence de politique claire et intelligente sur l'intelligence artificielle, l'IoT ou les mégadonnées limitent l'innovation et l'investissement. manque de compétences avancées. L'Afrique doit investir massivement dans le développement de compétences numériques de haut niveau, au-delà de la simple innovation. Comme recommandation forte issue de la déclaration, nous avons retenu d'étendre l'infrastructure numérique et énergétique, de déployer une connectivité large, bande universelle d'ici 2030 et de garantir une alimentation électrique fiable, notamment en zone rurale. Réduire le coût de l'accès à l'Internet. L'objectif est de baisser de 50% le coût des données mobiles grâce à des mécanismes de financement innovants comme les PPP et les fonds de services universels. Encadrer l'intelligence artificielle de manière éthique, élaborer des stratégies nationales avec des cadres réglementaires souples, type bac à sable, en assurant la transparence, l'équité et l'inclusion. Renforcer la capacité humaine, intégrer dans la programmation d'enseignement des modules de l'IA, l'IoT, les mégadonnées et créer des centres d'excellence pour former les talents africains. Comme conclusion, la déclaration de Cotonou nous engage à transformer résolument notre vision numérique en action concrète. Le défi est immense, mais les opportunités sont à notre portée si nous agissons collectivement avec cohérence et ambition. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, honorable, de nous avoir fait les key messages de cette déclaration. Donc je ne vais pas revenir sur les commentaires, parce qu'on court derrière le temps. Mais cette déclaration sera disponible sur le site web de African IGF, and we can have more discussion about that when we start discussion around this session. From, let me ask now one question to Honorable Jacqueline, parliamentarian from Uganda. Jacqueline, we've the adoption of the Cotonou Declaration on this +20, and the ongoing discussion we have now around IGF. What role can parliamentarians play in advancing inclusive and right-based digital policy across the continent?
Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
My fellow panelists who are here with me,
I do believe
that the GDC and the WISIS focuses on multi-sectorism, and therefore all stakeholders have a critical role to play in promoting digital or internet governance in Africa. But in this particular aspect, we are looking at the needs of members of parliament, which includes representation and especially enactment of laws, that is legislation. And if you look at the outcome that we came up with at the WISIS Plus review that was held in Benin, as Honorable Adjatu talked already, there were a lot of key areas of focus that we looked at. But topmost was the issue of legislation. That's where our niche lies. And therefore, we are talking about emerging technologies, we are talking about blockchain, artificial intelligence, and all this. But eventually, we realize that all this cannot be very much implementable if we do not have critical legislations. So the role of Parliament is very critical in galvanizing this approach in the continent. And then also, you realize that out of the 54 countries that we have in Africa, only 39 of them have come up with cyber security laws. And yesterday, when you listened to the minister speaking here, I think there was an emphasis on the cross-border, and aware that all the 54 African countries, or 55, ratified the Africa Free Trade Area. Therefore, in terms of internet governance in Africa, we cannot talk about trade in Africa and Africa Free Trade Area without actually promoting cross-border and also making sure that we have model frameworks that promote our engagement in the continent. And lastly, of course, some countries have moved further. For example, Morocco is ranked highly in the North Africa. I think Egypt. In East Africa is basically Kenya and Tanzania. So there's still a lot of effort that needs to be done. Out of the 55 countries, only 39 of the countries have come up with specific legislations on cyber security. And on the new emerging technologies, very few countries are still lagging behind. Therefore, the role of parliamentarians especially, I would like to thank the AU and UNECA for building the capacities of the different stakeholders, but particularly in regards to legislations, I think it's very critical that will galvanize the support of the legislators, because then we will be able to achieve what exactly we want to achieve, moving with the rest of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline, Honorable Jacqueline, for highlighting as the role of Parliament in this digital revolution. Now let me go through governmental issue. Mrs. Baratangmia, you work a lot with government in developing policy, private sector, and civil society also. What key policies should African leaders prioritize to build a sustainable digital economy, to create more jobs, improve service delivery, and foster innovation? 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you. I think for me, the biggest challenge in Africa at the moment is access and inclusion. So, with access being the biggest challenge, I think the two policies that we should be focusing on in Africa is DPI, digital public infrastructure, because with digital public infrastructure, you addressing access. And the second policy will be the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. That's the biggest thing. DPI will accelerate the agreement, and it will improve the economy, make sure that we have access to immediate data, real-time data, and you can look throughout Africa. You know, when I was on the co-chair of the G20, one of the things we did was we researched what's happening in Africa in terms of DPI, and only 10% of the countries have rolled out the digital identity. Now, how many Africans are not documented? If we have 1.5 billion Africans, you haven't realized that as a continent we have the power of 1.5 billion, not the power of 57,000 South Africans or 60-something thousand, I'm not sure yet. The moment we focus on these two policies and make sure that the two of them combined becomes a priority for all the governments, we will be able to build sustainable digital economy and enhance digital literacy. My whole life will spend with Girl Hype, will spend teaching women how to code. It might be technical, but in the end, what we want to do is bring women into the technical space. Women are the most marginalized, and at the moment, should DPI and the free trade agreement not be prioritized. We're losing out on the crux of that. Those two policies really address access. In closing, I would say that it's not just women, it's the generation of young women that are coming up. We don't improve the digital literacy there, we're going to catch them very late because AI is just fast-tracking itself.
Thank you very much for highlighting some key role of the government. Now, we have several stakeholders, parliamentarian, government, and private sector, academia, and also youth. As you know, private sector playing an important role in the advancement of this digital technology in the African continent. Let me ask one question to Mr. Osam from Egypt. How can African tech entrepreneurs and SMEs collaborate with government to implement the objective of the Global Digital Compact, particularly in the context of data governance, digital inclusion, to accelerate this economic transformation for the continent? You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. It's a $1 million question, but I'll try to answer as much as I can. The existence of the Global Digital Compact is a great thing to frame what is needed to move forward as part of the SDGs. Already governments have done in Africa many efforts on the level of the public infrastructure and still need to do with regard to access and DPR. The fact that we are moving forward from this point and moving into emerging technologies and artificial intelligence is putting new challenges related to regulation, but related also to capacity building, to funding, to technical capability and all of that. So, first of all, it is extremely important to have dialogues between entrepreneurs and SMEs especially with the government to identify the suitable level of regulation that would from one end put a frame for the required level of security, privacy, and others, and at the same time incentivize those SMEs and entrepreneurs to move forward and deliver solutions to their countries. My opinion is that government had already done a lot with large enterprises and with youth by giving on a higher education or on lower education or just newly graduate different capacity building programs. But we see that the area in the middle for the SMEs and entrepreneurs is not covered enough. Need more dialogue, discussion regarding regulation, but need also to identify clearly the challenges for those SMEs and how they can better deliver on the project the government is in need for and prepare properly according to standards for it, and also how to get funded, because in the ICT sector is different than many other sectors. The risk is higher. Assets are intangible, and thus bank funding is not an easy matter for SMEs, and thus governments would need to put some incentives, maybe to cover the insurance policy for the funding that might be there for the SMEs. In the area of artificial intelligence and in the area of new technology, SMEs and entrepreneurs can deliver a lot of things to the government, but they will need big data, they will need access to computational power and others, and those things if done separately, will never fly. It costs a lot. So there is a need where the government can help having sandboxes for different companies to start piloting, trying such solution, and once they achieve the level required by the government, this can be rolled out. And we have seen many, for example, central banks that have done this for fintech solution, and very successful in Africa, whether in Kenya, in West Africa, in Egypt, etc. This is a very good example of how an SME became a unicorn. This is extremely important from that regards. But again, dialogue about the regulation, how to maintain it, this is the most important part. Finally, I think what is really needed on top of that is that we look at it from a pan-African level. We need to see better how to put synergy between different SMEs in Africa and different governments. Yesterday I was speaking with Mr. Mukhtar about the fact that there is 5 ministers here. I was expecting out of them an initiative of collaboration. We really need on the African level collaboration between different countries with using the SMEs of those countries. And what I would suggest to Mr. Mukhtar on the level of ECA, who is doing a lot of efforts, is maybe to have a task force, a small task force that would initiate a report about few different countries, what the SMEs had successfully done, successfully delivered as a best practice. So we can really facilitate and encourage growth of entrepreneurs and SMEs much faster. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Collaboration is a key. Now, Professor, during all our discussions, we talk about capacity building, promoting innovation, develop research and development. In this context of the WISIS Plus 20 and the ongoing discussion around IGF, and also with the adoption of the Global Digital Compact, how can academia in Africa advance the implementation of all these frameworks?
Yeah, so thank you very much for the wonderful question. First, it's very important to state that academia in Africa are not bystanders in all of this. They're supposed to be very central. They're supposed to be very involved. I mean, from conception to implementation, but unfortunately it's not the case. So one way to encourage and to allow academia to take their rightful position in all of these frameworks, the DDC, the WISIS Plus 20, is to encourage very context-based research in academia. And a practical way of doing this is to set out maybe a grant, a small grant, right? A small grant that will be put out every year or every 2 years to allow them to do specific research that will address the issue of, digital governance, the issue of digital divide, digital economy, cybersecurity. And this grant should be such that it will encourage multi-stakeholderism. At least academia should be encouraged to partner with parliamentarians, to partner with the civil society, to partner with the private sector. And as they are developing capacity in this way and the multi-stakeholders are involved in all of this, the themes will be able to address whatever GDC's agenda is and WISIS Plus 20. The important thing is that this research should be strategic, should involve multi-stakeholders. And that's what has been done, for instance, African Center of Excellence grants that have been set up. When there is fund and people are, are probed to do this research involving others, it will now address these issues in a thematic way. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Now let me go to my brother and friend Emmanuel from Director Regional of ITU Africa. ITU is IT International Telecommunication Union is playing a key role in leading the voices, also supporting a lot of African countries to develop the IT sector. Now, with the implementation of the GDC under UN process, how ITU is supporting African countries to align their policy with the 5 objectives of the Global Digital Compact in the context of the 11 action line of voices.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Asante sana.
I would like to start by making it clear that ITU is a membership-driven agency, the UN agency responsible for ICT. We have 194 membership, with the new member states is Palau. We have more than 1,000 members, which are sector and academia members. And as you mentioned, we have the ITU plenipotentiary, which is the highest governing board. It has a resolution on WISIS. And we have the WISIS Council Working Group, which is led by Ms. Cynthia Lesofio, which is also from South Africa. So when you look at the WISIS in general, you see also ITU leading various action lines and also initiating the WISIS prices, but also ITU, UNCTAD, UNDP and UNESCO taking lead on the preparation of the global, with all other UN agencies leading different action lines. When you look at the GDC, two things that are critical. GDC is talking about universal connectivity and bridging all the digital divides. The ITU two strategic goals. The first one is universal meaningful connectivity, and the second is digital transformation, which are well aligned with the GDC. But when it comes to Africa perspective, we have Africa Digital Compact and also Africa Digital Transformation Strategy 2020-2030. And we have the World Telecommunication Conference, WTDC, which was held in 2022 in Kigali. And the Kigali Action Plan came up with the regional initiatives. And among the 4 regional initiatives for Africa, the first one was on universal connectivity and digital transformation, safe and secure services, innovation, enabling policy, and regulatory environment. What ITU is doing, we have implemented these regional initiatives, and during the Regional Development Forum, which was held on 7th April, this year in Nairobi, we reported on each initiative what we have done through the projects across the continent. So it is quite clear that all our work are well aligned, streamlined to the achievement of the GDC. But one more important, I'm also co-chairing the GDC action line on connectivity, which is how do we implement the GDC. And we're trying to work, we are co-chairing ITU and UNDP, and this also is trying to identify first ongoing initiatives, but other works that have been done by different agencies, different initiatives, including the private sectors, on ensuring that everyone is connected. So in summary, ITU, most of our work are well aligned with the GDC, and you can see from the 5 objectives and taking to the mandate and role of ITU, but as well as we are well aligned with the what I call Africa Digital Compact, and also Africa Compass. To me, the Africa Compass on digital, which is giving us the direction, is the Africa Digital Transformation Strategy, AI Strategy, ADC, as well as the core, the Africa We Want 2063. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanel, for that. I think very, very important, this alignment and the support provided to member states.
msomano mzuri ambao ni wa msingi
when we have the
ambao
Africa agenda
na agenda ya
2060,
Afrika ya
the title is Africa we want.
na kichwa cha habari kinasema
if you go
Afrika
through
tunayoitaka.
this agenda,
Ukipitia agenda
is a key pillar
utaweza kupata
this African agenda.
za msingi za
Recently,
hivi karibuni,
when we organized a summit of the future in September this year to adopt the Global Digital Compact, the key objective is the digital future we want. And this speak to you what role, what we have to do for our youth generation. Also, when we go back 5 years ago or 6 years ago, we adopted a declaration on sustainable development titled The Future We Want. All this youth is a key pillar. Why I would like to ask our youth representative, Millennium, you are the coordinator of the Tanzania Youth IGF. You listen all parliamentary, academia, private sector, government. From this, what key action will you recommend to ensure that youth voice and innovation are fully integrated in the Dar es Salaam Declaration we are going to discuss this afternoon?
Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
Can you hear me?
Mnanisikia?
Okay. I first must commend your efforts.
Lazima nipongeze jitihada zako bila shaka kwamba EFA kwa kuhakikisha kwamba sauti za vijana zinajumuishwa katika majadiliano kama haya, kwa sababu mara nyingi katika mazungumzo ya muhimu kama haya unaweza ukakuta kwamba sauti za vijana haziko hapo. Kwa hiyo ni kupongeze kwa hiyo. Kwa hiyo moja ya kitu ambacho tunapaswa kufanya katika kuhakikisha kwamba sauti za vijana
included in the Dar es Salaam IGF declaration
azimio
to
la
ensure
IGF
that
la Dar es Salaam ni
there is
kuhakikisha
intentional and structural inclusion of youth. And I think in this declaration we truly need even a whole chapter or a section that has recommendations from youth. Because youth also are the key players in digital transformation. And one of the recommendations I would say is coming in the IGF and in the spaces like this one, there should be co-creation or consultations that are done with the youth before even the IGF, so that we know even beforehand that youth are recommending this and then this is what needs to be done. And another thing, speaking of innovation, I would really like to highlight the importance of supporting youth-led innovation. So I come from, in the past 2 years, I've been supporting youth in an innovation hub. And I have seen the role that youth play in terms of coming up with innovation, new applications, new tech systems, and all that. So to ensure that all these efforts that they do and all this impact that they make, we need to support them. And now this support could be in terms of funding, but it could also be in terms of like skilling. It could be also in terms of mentorship. So it doesn't have to be a bit one-sided. It could be cross-cutting, and just to make sure that these innovations don't just die. And another thing is, I would say, is accountability and follow-up. So we usually hold this kind of conversations, but let's say, for example, even after this IGF, how do we ensure that all the recommendations that are included in the declaration are truly going to be implemented? Now, we need to ensure that we have a mechanism that we are going to follow up even even that after this IGF, all these things don't just end here. That there's tracking to make sure that the recommendation implemented. Are the youth voices included? Are they being supported? Are they being heard? What are the challenges that they face? And lastly, I think I would say about representation in decision making. While we see young people now, there have been more and more efforts to include young people in the spaces like this. But I think there is more need to include more youth in the spaces like this one, especially youth in the marginalized communities and those with disabilities. Even if you look in this room, you see the representation of young people or people with disabilities is very small. So I think also the declaration could really highlight how they can make sure that the youth voices, including those from marginalized communities, are also included. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, so much for that. Very relevant, and we are going to take into consideration all your input related to your voice in this declaration. Now, I'm going to open the floor for 10 minutes discussion. And I will give priority for youth question, because the objective is how we can do to make sure our youth will be ready in this for industrial revolution. We need to listen to them. What they need, what are their concerns, and we can take into consideration at the policy level, at the education capacity building level, how this private sector can involve more youth, young innovators in the process of industrialization of Africa. How our parliamentary integrate youth needs and youth concern in the policy development. They are working every day with government. How government can support more youth by funding their activity or providing loan, promoting innovation. We have several issues we can discuss. Let me start on my right. If there is any youth who would like to take the floor. Anyone, you want to take the floor?
Yeyote ambaye yuko tayari kuzungumza upande huu wa kulia tafadhali.
Okay, madam, on this side. You have a microphone, please.
Tafadhali kipaza sauti.
Come.
Tafadhali njoo haraka.
Thank you for giving me the floor. We are still in the good morning. So good morning, and thank you for the excellent remarks. I am Member of Parliament Amira Saber from Egypt, and gladly I introduce to the Egyptian Parliament the first draft bill on artificial intelligence. I second what has been said on this stage regarding the inclusion of youth, and I wonder if the African Governance Forum could find us a place on the Internet where we can put all the exciting and empowering initiatives that are including youth and that are referring to the excellent interventions from the private sectors that brings the younger voices to the space, either on the policy-making level or those who have been empowered through financing and empowering their small projects or entrepreneurial initiatives. So I'm thinking with you, what hinders us from highlighting collectively from all across Africa these excellent examples, because this could actually incentivize others to follow. And I think even in one continent there are investors who are looking to the continent as a whole, and when this works in one setup, it could definitely initiate the process of looking at other setups with similar conditions. So I suggest that, and I hope that there would be one website, one platform where all the excellent initiatives that empower youth could collectively be there. Thank you for digital transformation.
Thank you. Anyone? Any other one? Okay.
Asante sana. Mwingine?
Please introduce yourself. Your country, name, country.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon to you all. My name is Mkuu Samantha, and I'm a co-founder of Green Tech and Women in STEM Advocate. So I just want us to ponder on these few questions, these two. That first of all, what's the need of Africans, especially in the digital space? And are our digital policies adequate for the need of Africans? I believe that if we understand this, then we can find better ways of having more inclusion and access to the internet technologies in the continent. But also something I want to emphasize is accountability and follow-ups, just like how our youth representative has mentioned, because it's critical and important. From the past governance forums that we have had, there are some topics that have currently been repeated all the time. We are talking about inclusion, we talk about access, we talk about this, that, but what are the loopholes in the strategies that we set? I think it's critical for us to understand, because if we are not following up on the implementation processes, if we don't have transparency in the governance, then it's going to affect us, because we shall come back next year and we shall be talking about the very same things without anything that is achieved. So I think it's important.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next.
Oh, merci à vous. Déjà, je me présente. Je m'appelle Ahmad Ndiaye du Sénégal. Donc, je suis ambassadeur du Sénégal des simulations diplomatiques, ingénieur en génie logiciel et président de United Diplomat of Africa en Afrique du Sud. Voilà, donc je voulais justement poser une question au Parlement, les députés qui sont là, ainsi que vous, les panélistes. Donc la question justement que je voulais adresser revient tout simplement à l'utilisation des images des personnes actuellement par les jeunes qui essaient justement de nuire certaines personnes. Parce que moi personnellement j'ai été victime. Justement il y a des personnes qui utilisent des faux comptes justement et essayer justement d'utiliser l'image de la personne et de détruire les personnes au niveau des réseaux sociaux. Maintenant, vous, les parlements qui sont là actuellement, les députés, est-ce que actuellement vous pensez à faire des lois qui peuvent sanctionner ces personnes? Parce que, comme vous savez, il y a des personnes qui se suicident à cause justement de l'utilisation de ces mauvaises images au niveau des réseaux sociaux, en faisant des diffamations et en parallèle justement des personnes qui peuvent tout simplement arrêter leur ambition à cause de ces situations. Donc, au Sénégal, on avait mis des lois qu'on avait mis en place pour pouvoir justement sanctionner les personnes qui utilisent Internet par rapport à des mauvaises situations. Donc, est-ce que vous pensez à ces décrets ou bien à ces lois au niveau justement des parlements? Merci à vous.
Merci à vous.
Swali lingine?
My name is Gladness Jone Embe from Tanzania. I actually designed a web known as Agro Hub Connect. So my question is, what qualification do young innovators, or I can say entrepreneurs, need to have so as to get financial support, can get startups and empowerment in African Government Forum, also in Internet Engineering Task Force? And also I could suggest that there should be a room or maybe a place where young innovators go and get support in one way or another. Like to my side, I like this internet making things innovating, but I don't have startup. I don't have a place where to go and make my cries. So what I do is just, there is this, I can say, I don't know if there are
Thank you. Thank you. Next. On your left.
Upande wako wa kushoto.
Thank you very much. My name is Ibrahim from Nigeria. I work as an IT officer with one of the African Centers of Excellence in Nigeria. My view is, as a Nigerian, I normally see this government marking billions of naira, which translates to millions of dollars for IT, workshops and trainings, which unfortunately don't even come into light, unfortunately. And these monies will just be nowhere to be found at the end of the day. Or things are done, but they are not reflecting. Maybe they just organize a workshop of just 1 week and give computers, give phones, and then at the end of the day, the students or the participants don't even understand what they did or what they achieved. So I actually don't know if there's a way such a meeting like this can bring up policies that can compel this government, because I believe it's not only Nigeria, but a lot of African countries that are facing such challenge. So if a policy can be brought up to compel this government to use these funds in actually doing more innovative things like, not really workshops, but other things that would actually support this youth. Thank you very much.
We hear you. Thank you very much. Next. No, go on this side.
Okay, thank you. My name is Usna Chuza from the University of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. My question is, or concern, digital world is more focused on the urban areas for youth who are most on urban areas. What about the youth who are in rural areas? We forgot about those who are in rural areas and we create our own world. So as my concern, we should also face the youth on the rural areas. So what can be done to also face those youth? Thank you.
Next.
Anaifuata.
If you have a question on Swahili also, you can ask.
Kama una swali kwa Kiswahili tafadhali unaweza ukauliza kwa sababu
don't hesitate. For that version.
Usipate wasiwasi wowote.
That version.
Okay, thank you. My name is Letty from South Africa. I'm the chairperson of the Multi-Stakeholder Committee, South African Internet Governance Multi-Stakeholder Committee. So mine is not a question. I think it's rather a comment or maybe a view to your question where you asked what needs to be done to maybe empower or contribute to youth development in the sector. And I like what the Member of Parliament from Egypt said, where she mentioned that we need a platform where we need to maybe incentivize. She mentioned incentivize others to follow. So what I will mention, and I think it's worth noting, is that in South Africa, we've got 30% of our multi-stakeholder committee being youth, where the youngest member of the multi-stakeholder committee is actually the chairperson. So I think we've spoken about skills development. We've spoken about funding. We need to come in where we're saying that we've got all these programs. We speak about them at every platform. When we implement, let us include the youth. So it goes back to inclusivity, and it goes back to implementation that is inclusive of youth, not just for the youth, but by the youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Je vous donne la parole. Bon.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erika Mukama from Cybersecurity Intern at Tanzania Industry Research and Development Organization. for my suggestion is there should be a lot of percent, like 20 or 30% of youth presentation in regional and national levels. Thank you.
Okay, now it's fine. Let me close now. Last one, Madagascar. Leading the open micros this afternoon, you can have a chance to raise all issues you are facing or all your concern about African IGF process.
Merci beaucoup et merci pour votre présentation, c'est vraiment intéressant et aussi pour notre réunion ici en Tanzanie. Je présente, je suis Rakutumala Mertu. Je suis député de Madagascar, président du réseau des jeunes parlementaires Malagasy. Et c'est la première fois que je suis venu assister à cette forum de l'African Gouvernance de l'Internet. Ma question, c'est tout simplement de vous demander, je ne sais pas à qui est-ce que peut répondre. Mais là, ici, on est en train de réunir pour trouver qu'est-ce qu'on va faire pour l'intelligence artificielle, la sécurité des données. Mais moi, je me demande actuellement, qu'est-ce qui peut nous écouter si on va dire quelque chose ou on voulait changer quelque chose pour une structure de l'intelligence artificielle ou cette gestion de données. Et est-ce que, comment aussi pourrait nous faire vraiment en mettre en sécurité les données actuellement? Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. I want 2 questions on Swahili. Swahili only.
Mimi ninaruhusu swali moja kwa Kifaransa. Swali moja upande wa Kifaransa. Hakuna anayezungumza Kifaransa ambaye angependa kuuliza swali kwa Kifaransa. Habari za asubuhi.
Kwa majina naitwa Elia Edward Damas. Ni Mtanzania. Natokea Institute of Social Work.
Jina langu.
Maoni yangu kwenye hili, cha kwanza, kama alivyotoka kuongea coordinator wa IGF in Tanzania, kuna uhafifu wa makundi maalum. Yani tumebezi sana kuongelea sisi kama sisi, lakini hawa wenye disability how tutawasaidia? Vipi tutawapa nafasi na wao kama sisi? Kwa sababu hata ukiangalia kwenye hii room mwenye disability hamna hata mmoja. So how tutawasaidia wao?
Asante sana. Next, another one in Swahili.
Kwa Kiswahili tafadhali.
Habari. Mimi nilikuwa najaribu kuuliza kama kuna utawala ambao unahusika na kudhibiti mitandao muhimu ya habari kama X platform kuto kudhibitiwa ndani ya nchi kwa ajili ya umuhimu wa hizo habari. Kwa hiyo nilikuwa nauliza kama Africa Internet Governance Forum ina utawala kuhakikisha kwamba platform muhimu hazidhibitiwi kwenye mitandao.
Thank you.
Okay, so kwanza shikamoni wakubwa. Ningependa kuuliza kwa tunapoongelea internet na tunaongelea kila mtu anakuwa na access ya
whenever we talk about internet we are talking about
so tunapoongelea internet maana tunaongelea kwamba kila mtu ana nafasi ya kushare kitu fulani katika mtandao. Kama serikali ya IGF kuna nini kinatendeka ili kuzuia kitu kinaitwa abuse ambayo inatokea kwenye internet, kwa sababu kuna students, kuna women na kuna watu wengi ambao wanakuwa abused in the internet. What is happening kwa kufanya like strategies ambazo zinafanyika ili kusaidia kuondoa such kind of abuses?
Yes. Thank you. One lady now in Swahili.
Na mtu mmoja
kwa Kiswahili. In Swahili.
Tunahitaji mtu mmoja kwa Kiswahili.
There is one.
Nakuja.
We want to make this discussion more inclusive. Everybody should be part.
Tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba mjadala huu unakuwa shirikishi, kila mmoja aweze kushiriki.
Asante, naitwa Lovenet.
Thank you very much. My name is Lovenet Rakatala. I come from Tech and
Maswali yangu yanaelekea kwa Africa IGF na sekretarieti yake. Inahakikisha vipi kwamba sisi kama nchi za Kiafrika tunaendana na kasi ya ukuaji wa dijitali, masuala ya teknolojia ambayo yanaendelea kwenye mabara mengine duniani, na tunawezaje ku-catch up ili tusiachwe nyuma katika haya maendeleo? Asante.
That we should not be left
behind. Thank you. Now let me give 1 minute for each panelist, 1 minute maximum to answer. I'm going to start by Honorable Jacqueline. Jacqueline,
tafadhali.
1 minute. She's still in the translation.
Okay, so
you have 1 minute.
Una dakika moja tafadhali.
So we have talked about the GDC and the WISIS Plus, the recommendations that we came up with at Benin, the general reactions from the floor, the inclusion of young people and especially those with disability is one of the areas that we talked about highly. And definitely we continue ensuring that young people are included, because we cannot talk about the future without the generation that is going to be in charge of the future. And then lastly, the gentleman asked about the misinformation, especially on politicians. I think that most countries have come up with legislations. For example, in Uganda, we have the Computer Misuse Act of 2019, revamped now of 2022, in a way that if you can be tracked and you can be penalized for misuse of the Computer Act. So there are so many regulations that need to be put in place to address that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome. Please, 1 minute.
Okay. Basically, there are a lot of efforts Africa is doing. We lack funds. We have some challenges. But African people are capable of doing a lot of things. And my suggestion is we need to learn from each other. So search for the best practices in different countries. Roll out this best practice in the other countries. Find the SMEs with the best solution, best project. Let's make them unicorns. And I think by this we will lead quite quickly, and we will be able to face challenges very quickly. Thank you.
Next.
Thank you. Internet access is not for a few. It is for everyone. Innovation is not for a selected group, it's for everyone. Digital transformation is not for a few, it is for everyone. The most important thing, as my sister was asking there, is we need really to understand and see clearly what that this digital transformation mean to our countries, and take strategic measures to ensure that we take optimal benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Honorable.
Merci. Je voudrais aller sur la doléance des jeunes qui sont écoutés, et leur revendication est légitime, mais je voudrais aussi appeler à la responsabilité, parce que l'IA ouvre beaucoup d'opportunités pour les jeunes, mais en même temps, surtout pour les jeunes ruraux et les personnes défavorisées qui ne perçoivent pas effectivement l'autre revers de l'IA, d'où j'appelle à la formation, la sensibilisation et l'éducation pour que les jeunes soient vraiment protégés, pendant que les législateurs que nous sommes, mettons en œuvre tout ce qu'il faut pour satisfaire leurs doléances, pour leur donner la place qu'il faut dans l'espace du numérique et dans la vie en général. Merci.
Merci, honorable. Baratang.
Policies must emphasize equitable access to technology, upskilling and reskilling programs, and we should support local tech entrepreneurs to bridge the digital divide. That way we are ensuring growth benefits for all citizens. And then to answer his question, data is trained. AI models are being trained. So for us to make sure that we ensure data security for interest of youth, all policies must make sure that they hold these companies accountable through transparency and accountability in their algorithm designs. Because at the moment, they have the proprietary of their own algorithms, and we don't know what the hell they're doing with our data. Until they open their algorithms, no government has control over them.
Thank you. Professor.
We now know that policy is important, but it should be evidence-based policy making that should be encouraged, and this is a product of research, and academia should be at the center of this, promoting research that is context-based, that solves Africa's problem, and that will inform policy. Collaboration is key, and multi-stakeholder collaboration is important. Academia should collaborate with policymakers, with the parliamentarians, with government, with civil society, with the private sector to train the youth. You can see that the youth need training, and hubs should be created in institutions. There should be specific funding to support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Asante. Katika majadiliano ya leo nilichopata kwamba kwenye digital transformation haihusu tu mambo ya ubunifu, haihusu miundombinu peke yake, bali inahusu watu na inahusu sheria ambazo zimetengenezwa na nchi au bara la Afrika kwa mfano. Na kujibu swali ya dada pale nyuma alikuwa anaongelea labda ni criteria gani kijana anatakiwa awe nazo ili aweze kuwa included kwenye mambo ya innovation au kwenye space za IGF. Kitu kimoja tunachokihitaji ni ubunifu na kuwa na utayari wa kujifunza na kuchukua risk. Kuwa tayari kuchukua risk. Na tunaona kabisa kama serikali pia au kwa kupitia mfano TCRA wana mifumo mingi, wana program nyingi za kusupport youth. Kuna mambo ya digital clubs ambazo unaweza ukawatafuta na kugo online ukaangalia TCRA wanafanya nini kwenye digital clubs, ukajoin na ukajua jinsi gani kama wewe kijana unaweza ukacontribute na ukakuza products zako. Hiyo tu.
Asante sana. Now,
thank you very much.
We start late this session. Let me concluding remark. One word each panelist. Take away one, not 2, 3, 1. I'm going to start by you. You are ready? Or you want to think about one word?
Inclusion.
Yeah?
Inclusion.
Inclusion.
Collaboration.
Ushirikiano.
Digital infrastructure.
Miundombinu ya kidijitali, miundombinu.
Renforcement des jeunes.
Kuwasaidia vijana, kuwahimiza vijana.
Education.
Elimu kwa vijana.
Collaboration.
Ushirikiano.
Synergy.
Kufanya kazi pamoja.
Action.
Utendaji.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana, nadhani tumefikia mwisho wa kipindi chetu. Tumekuwa na majadiliano mengi kuhusu mageuzi upande wa dijitali. Mambo ya kuzingatia ni kwamba tunahitaji ushirikishwaji. Kufanya ushirikiano ni muhimu, serikali, sekta binafsi, bunge pamoja na sekta binafsi katika kujenga jamii yetu hii. Na pia
without infrastructure we
can't do anything. We need to build the infrastructure. Lazima tujenge miundombinu.
The involvement of the private sector, of all partners, to develop the infrastructure across the
continent. Kwenye bara zima, pamoja kwamba education ni msingi. Lazima tujenge uwezo wa vijana wetu, kizazi kipya kiwe tayari kwa ajili ya kusukuma mbele. Kufanya kazi pamoja kwa watendaji wote katika jamii ni muhimu sana. Hatua utendaji ni muhimu sana. afternoon. Habari za mchana.
We are starting in
One, two, three.
Okay. Are the people online connected?
Walio mtandaoni.
Karim, are you there?
Karim, are you there?
Karim, can you hear me?
Karim, unanisikia?
Karim, tu nous
Karim,
entends?
unatusikia?
Karim, can you say something?
Karim, zungumza. Tafadhali zungumza.
Do you hear me?
Unanisikia?
Can you hear me?
Je, unanisikia, Karim?
Yes, but it's a bit faint. Technicians, can you increase the sound if possible? Can you say something again?
Hello.
Karim, comment ça va?
Habari, unanisikia?
Yeah.
Ndio,
Maybe you'll have
nakusikia.
louder. So let's start because
Hebu tuanze
it's
kwa sababu
noon already.
Ni
So I don't want to keep people for too long.
Nusu saa imeshapita.
Thank you
Ni mchana
to
sasa
this
hivi.
Discussion on bridging the gap.
Sasa
enhancing
tunazungumza namna
African
ya
participation
kupunguza
in IGF.
pengo lililopo.
It was organized by
Ilipangwa
Karim,
na Karim
who is one of the
ambaye ni
panelists.
mmoja wa wanajopo. Ningetakiwa kuwepo hapo lakini hakufanikiwa kufika, na ndio aliongoza kikao, na natumaini kwamba nitajitahidi kufanya ambavyo angefanya.
I would like to say
kusema mambo machache kuhusu mashirika ya kimataifa. Mimi natoka kwenye na mimi natoka ITF na inahusika kiasi fulani, na ningependa kusema na machache ya kumkaribisha Karim kuhusu malengo ya kabla ya kwenda kwa wanajopo wengine. ISO kama wote mnaofahamu imekuwepo hapa zaidi ya miaka 30 ikiwa na dira ya kutoa mtandao kwa internet kwa kila mmoja na kuweza kusukuma mbele maendeleo ya internet, ufundi wa kutoa msaada wa miundombinu ya kuwafikia jamii nzima. Kazi yetu inaendana na malengo yetu kuweza kuunganisha dunia nzima kwa internet na kuifanya Salaam. Katika mpango mkakati wetu katika mwaka 2025 na 30 tungependa kuhimiza uwepo wa internet yenye nguvu kwa jamii zetu na
some of you might know ITF, but I will be surprised that many of you don't.
Lakini nadhani baadhi yenu
ITF is the Internet Engineering Task Force,
ambayo imepewa jukumu
a
la
community of network
shughuli za
designers,
internet,
vendors, and researchers focused on developing open standards that ensure the smooth operation and evolution of the internet by developing internet protocols that we use every day. It operates through a transparent, bottom-up, and consensus-driven process that we'll discuss today. ITF's work is critical in maintaining the interoperability, scalability, and resilience of the global internet infrastructure. You might not know it, but whenever you use the internet for just 1 minute, you probably use 100 ITF protocol or more. So it is something that is with you, even though you might not know it. You probably have heard of some protocols, in particular TCP/IP, that was developed by ITF. ISOC supports ITF financially, but also major support, especially we try to support them whenever there is policy involved. While we respect the independence of this panel is to give you awareness about ITF, how it works, identify some gaps, especially in relation to Africa, and propose actions so that we can overcome those gaps.
kupendekeza njia za kupunguza pengo lililopo.
Sorry if it was in and out. I will try to keep the mic at the same position so that you can all hear me. And please let me know if I mess up. Okay. So Karim, you are the organizer of this workshop. First of all, thank you for this because it's an important issue. I would like to ask you first to introduce yourself and then tell us your experience at ITF because you are kwa sababu wewe ni mshiriki kwenye mikutano ya ITF kule Bangkok, and I'm sure that you have learned na hakika kwamba ulijifunza vitu vingi sana. Itakuwa jambo jema ukiweza kutuambia ulichojifunza na useme this workshop. What do you expect from kongamano hili na unatarajia nini katika kutoka kwenye majadiliano haya? What you na ungeshauri nini, ungeshauri vipi washiriki wafanye nini kuhusu ITF? Asante sana kwa UNECA na sekretarieti nzima kwa kutupa fursa ya kuweza kupanga kongamano hili, na moja ya wanajopa wa kufika, lakini nashukuru kwamba umekuwepo pale na kuweza kuwezesha uwezekanaji wake. Na natoka Komoro na ni engineer na pia nina mambo ya udhibiti wa ICT na nashughulika katika hatua ya kiudhibiti, na pia nimekuwa ni makamu wa rais wa ISO hapa Komoro, na nilipata fursa ya kuweza kuchangia usimamizi wa internet katika kiwango cha kimataifa.
I had the chance to attend the policy makers program from ISOC to ITF in March. And it was an amazing experience because I had the opportunity to attend the ICANN meeting, IGF global meeting, and it was the first time I went to ITF, and I discovered a lot of things, a lot of interaction, the multi-stakeholder model, but I noticed some points. For example, when we look closely at the representation within ITF, one fact becomes clear. Africa is not yet in the room where the internet is being shared. All of us know that the place where we can see internet growth, major internet growth, is in Africa. If we link this session with the one we just finished, only half asked concrete action, and I think that in this session we'll make proposal for concrete action. But let me share two facts that will illustrate the gap in the ITF. Less than 0.25% of all requests for comments, the technical document that define the internet standard, have African authors. Not a single ITF meeting has ever been held on the African continent in the organization 35 years history. These 2 points, when they are linked, explain the fact that African people are not among those who are proposing RFC, the major work of ITF. These numbers are not just symbolic, they are symptomatic of a deeper structural imbalance in global digital governance and technical standards. So what should we aspire to? We must go from being passive users to active contributors. African people, African academics, we are participating in the global IG fora activities. ITF should not be the sole organization. We are not part of contributing. Either we are on technical side. I think that Africa has his place in ITF work. From simplify, consuming the internet to creating it. The internet must reflect the realities, challenge and innovation of all regions, including Africa. That means assuring our engineer, academic, regulator and innovator are present and participating in ITF process, not just as observer, but as author, reviewer and implementer. We can contribute, interact with all the world to contribute for making internet reflecting African realities, African needs. One powerful avenue to bridge this gap is through ISOC chapters. I think that we can rely to ISOC chapter around Africa to build national and regional hub to ensure that we can organize capacity building session to demystify how the ITF works, because ITF is a place that people contribute on DNS, on IPv6, on all standard of internet. They can support mentorship, collaboration and proposal building, and they can advocate for ITF meeting to finally take place in Africa. I'm dreaming, but I think that when we will decide to organize an ITF meeting in Africa, we will need to find local stakeholders ready and yet contributing on IT4. In conclusion, if Africa wants to shape the future of digital infrastructure, it must have a seat at the standards table. The time has come to mobilize our institution, our talents, and our network, not only to be part of the conversation, but to help lead it. Thank you, David, and let me give the floor to other colleague panel to contribute to this important topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Karim. I think you raised an important point unlike some other processes where we have become more comfortable. For example, you see many people participating in IGF from Africa, but you don't see anyone, anyway, very, very few people in IETF. And when we talk about internet governance, it's also about the technical governance, because many of the things that really define the internet are determined by technical people. So it is important that Africans are at the table when those technical protocols are being set. I will now go to Craig Stanley Adamson, who is a policymaker and who has also participated to a similar program, an ITF policymaker program organized by Internet Society in Dublin. And I would like you to share your experience as well, and maybe tell us how, from a country from the north, why do policymakers go to ITF meetings? Why are they interested? I guess you are not a technical person, but why does it matter for you? And why does it matter for your government that you're there? And since you are in Africa, and I'm sure that you have heard a lot of things about Africa these days, are there some recommendations that you can provide to African policymakers with regards to their participation in ITF?
Thank you, Dawit.
Asante sana kuhakikisha kila mmoja ananisikiliza vizuri. Jina Grayson, natoka ni kiongozi wa usimamizi wa Internet
and Technology. And as Dawit rightly says, I attended the ITF in Dublin last year, and I joined the Internet Society's Policymakers course. So I think the answer maybe to your final question there in terms of recommendations to make here is that if you are interested in this, please do subscribe yourself to this Policymakers course, because it's a fantastic opportunity for learning about not just the technical detail about how the internet works, which is really important, but how everything fits together. I'm a diplomat by background, so coming into this role, which has a lot of sort of technical expertise needed, this policy course was probably one of the greatest things I could have done to have that greater learning around this subject matter. So just a little bit then about why the UK as a government involved itself in the IETF. So digital standards, digital technical standards and standards around the internet are crucial to the way in which the internet works. It can't happen without that expertise that is behind it. The internet is not owned by any one entity. It's not by me, it's not by my government, it's not by any government here. And so it's crucial that all the right stakeholders are in the right place, having the conversations that really innovate the growth of the internet, as well as any conversations around new and emerging technologies. So for us to be in the room, it's also really good benefit for us to learn. Now, governments cannot do everything on our own. We don't have the expertise, we don't have the resource to try and develop certain regulations or governance structures, frameworks around new technologies. So we do rely heavily on the expertise that you will find at the IETF. But as has been correctly said before, there is a lack of diversity, particularly from the global majority, in terms of the representation at the IETF. Now, global standards on whether it be the internet or any technology is not just for the few, it's not just for big businesses, it's not just for governments. They're supposed to work for the entire global community. And to do that, it needs to have voices from every corner of the world. So, I really do strongly encourage you to get involved with the IETF. But I do think there are ways in which the global community, the global standards community, can do a lot more to engage with people, say, in this room, countries around the world that might not be as represented as others. And I think we've discussed, potential ways, such as the policymakers course, but the IETF, as well as the IEEE, W3C, ICANN, all these organizations that have such a global coordinating role for all these things that are so important in our internet and emerging technologies. There's a lot more outreach that they can do. And certainly from a UK perspective, we are heavily involved with the sort of management of these organizations. Not in any way, we're not trying to tell them what to do or how they should do their work, but we really encourage them to reach out. And I think capacity building initiatives from these organizations is something that is key. Some of them do exist already, but are they reaching the right people? Are they reaching the right people at the right speed? This is the work that I think needs to go into this. And what's particularly important as well, and we've had conversations over the last few days, we talked about the GDC, the WSIS, +20, World Summit on the Information Society. These are big global initiatives coming from the United Nations in New York that will affect every single one of us in this room in some way. And it's only by making sure that these organizations, these subsidiary organizations, work closely and engage with local communities that we can inform those more senior, well, the most high-level processes. It is absolutely crucial that anyone from the technical community, big, small, anything, contributes to these sort of processes. And that's why it's really important the likes of ITF, the likes of ICANN and others really do engage more here, as much as there needs to be awareness made domestically as well. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. I think you made very important points. I'm not sure if Sergio is here. I don't see him online, so I'm going to go directly to Maktar. And I think I will switch to French. I don't know if you are going to speak English or French. Ok, donc on va changer. Interpretation, you can take your... Donc Maktar, tout d'abord, merci pour avoir accepté de participer à ce panel. La CEA, UNICA, était vraiment engagé dans la gouvernance de l'Internet depuis le début. Mais avant ça même, il était un peu le leader dans la technologie de l'information, y compris pour un peu vulgariser la technologie. Je me rappelle de Padisnet, qui avait commencé avec la CEA et qui était un peu le précurseur de la connectivité en Afrique. Ces derniers temps, la CEA a laissé un peu, j'ai l'impression, la technologie et c'est un peu focalisé sur la politique. Mais je pense que c'est important que la CEA nous aide aussi, nous, Africains, à un peu récupérer notre place dans la technologie. Et comme Karim l'a dit, l'Afrique n'est pas représentée dans la normalisation, dans la standardisation de l'Internet. 0,2% pour un continent de 1,4 milliard d'âmes. Ce n'est pas acceptable. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour travailler ensemble pour que les Africains, je suis sûr qu'il y a des Africains qui sont compétents, qui peuvent contribuer, et comme Craig l'a dit, la voix de l'Afrique est importante. On ne peut pas avoir un Internet mondial sans notre contribution. Donc, qu'est-ce que la CEA peut faire pour que dans 20 ans, on ne dit pas la même chose. Dans 20 ans, on ne dit pas qu'il n'y a que 0,2% des Africains qui participent au travail du ETF. Si tu peux commencer par te présenter, bien que tout le monde te connaisse quand même.
Merci David. Donc on va cette fois-ci parler en français parce que l'Afrique n'est pas tellement représentée au niveau du monde de la recherche et du développement, seulement 1%. Mais aussi, il y a un constat. Dans les grandes réunions, on a peu de présence francophone. Et il y a beaucoup de personnes qui parlent français au niveau du continent. Et il y a plus de pays francophones que d'anglophones au niveau du continent. Donc, on doit parachever, trouver des solutions à ce gap linguistique pour que tout le monde ait la possibilité de se comprendre, de discuter et d'échanger. Comme vous l'avez rappelé, la CIA, la Commission économique des Nations Unies pour l'Afrique, a été pionnière au niveau du développement de la science et de la technologie en Afrique. Il y a de cela très longtemps, depuis 1999, avec Science for Africa qu'on organisait. Il y a aussi la, comment s'appelle, African Information Society, l'initiative africaine de la société de l'information, qui a été adoptée en 1999 et qui était là avant le 8-6. Et depuis lors, beaucoup de choses ont été faites et aussi beaucoup reste à faire. Comment pallier à cette faiblesse de la participation des pays africains au niveau du monde de la recherche et du développement? Nous avons plusieurs initiatives à la CIA. Tout d'abord, il y a le renforcement des capacités. On a un programme de renforcement des capacités focalisé sur la science, la technologie et l'innovation. Et ce programme de renforcement des capacités commence par les décideurs jusqu'aux chercheurs, le secteur privé et les industries. On appuie aussi les États africains à mettre en place leur politique nationale de sciences, technologie et de l'innovation. Et au niveau continental aussi, on appuie l'Union africaine avec la politique des sciences et technologies, c'est ça, dont la deuxième édition 2024-2034 a été adoptée cette année. Ce qui est important aussi, comment régler les problèmes africains à travers des solutions africaines. Nous avons un projet qu'on appelle Origine. Origine est un concept que nous avions développé il y a de cela 3 ans. C'est quoi Origine? Origine, c'est régler tous les problèmes dont l'Afrique est confrontée par des solutions développées par des Africains. C'est quoi solution développée par les Africains? C'est qu'on a une collaboration, on crée une plateforme de collaboration entre les chercheurs, les innovateurs, le monde industriel et les politiques pour arriver à des solutions viables. Par exemple, si on a un problème sur les changements climatiques, comment on peut collaborer entre les pays comme le Kenya, l'Ouganda, le Sénégal ou ailleurs pour trouver une solution propre. Et on a mis cette plateforme qui marche au niveau de 4-5 pays africains, une plateforme par région. Autre point, le partage d'expériences et d'informations. Il y a de l'innovation en Afrique. Mais le problème, on ne les connaît pas. Je suis sûr que si je demande ici à des Tanzaniens quelles sont les innovations qui ont été développées au Malawi, au Mozambique, Kenya, beaucoup d'entre eux ne savent pas. Et c'est l'effet inverse aussi. Ou bien les innovations développées en Afrique de l'Ouest, Sénégal, Mauritanie et Côte d'Ivoire. Donc c'est un problème. C'est la raison pour laquelle nous avons développé, on a tiré les leçons de la COVID-2019. Pendant la COVID-2019, nous étions confrontés à beaucoup de problèmes au niveau du continent. Parce qu'il y a des masques qu'on avait besoin, qu'on n'arrivait pas à avoir. On s'attaquait au marché chinois, ou bien au marché asiatique en Europe, et il y avait des difficultés pour les avoir sur le continent. On avait des problèmes d'aspirateurs pour l'oxygène. On n'arrivait pas à les avoir sur le continent. Alors on a développé une plateforme pour voir toutes les innovations pharmaceutiques sur le continent. Et on a découvert qu'il y a des masques qui se fabriquaient à gogo dans les pays du Nord, au Kenya, en Tanzanie. Et on a, grâce à cette plateforme collaborative, tous les pays africains ont pu avoir des masques, et ce qui a permis de sauver certaines vies. Parce que si vous vous rappelez bien, quand le Covid a commencé, il y a beaucoup d'informations qui circulaient que l'Afrique va perdre 100 millions de sa population qui vont mourir par manque de soins médicaux ou par manque d'équipement. Et l'Afrique a été le continent le moins touché par la Covid grâce à ces innovations qu'on a pu identifier et qu'on ne connaissait pas. L'ère de l'intelligence artificielle. On vient de lancer, cette année, une plateforme sur l'ensemble des innovations sur le continent africain. Et on a découvert qu'il y avait plus de des centaines d'innovations autour dans l'Afrique. Et on a identifié 340 innovations clés au niveau de cette plateforme dans 43 pays africains. Tous les problèmes dont l'Afrique est confrontée, vous avez des solutions à travers cette plateforme. Il s'agit de voir les innovateurs et de collaborer avec eux. Il y a des solutions qui sont développées un peu partout sur les changements climatiques, sur l'industrie, sur l'agriculture, sur les questions de santé, sur les questions de la finance électronique. Donc cette plateforme est accessible et tout le monde peut se connecter et avoir des informations là-dessus. L'autre problème qui se pose au niveau de la recherche et du développement, c'est le lien entre les universités et l'industrie et le secteur privé. Donc on a mis en place un mécanisme qu'on appelle l'University Entrepreneurship Alliance pour permettre aux universités d'être plus proches du secteur privé et des industries pour former des cadres qui seront recrutés dans ces secteurs. Parce que souvent, on donne des formations générales, mais avec cette plateforme, c'est une formation ciblée sur les besoins de l'industrie et du secteur privé. Autre point sur le développement des sciences et technologies, nous avons lancé, il y a de cela 7 ans, le forum de la science et de la technologie et de l'innovation, qu'on organise chaque année en marge du forum africain sur le développement durable. Le dernier a été organisé au mois d'avril en Ouganda. Et c'est une plateforme qui permet à tous les acteurs sciences, technologie, innovation du continent de se retrouver pour discuter des défis, des opportunités et des solutions au niveau de la science et de la technologie. Il y a certains participants de ce forum qui sont là. Let me shift now on the GDC. As you know, we have adopted the Summit of the Future, the Pact of the Future in September. And one key pillar is science, technology, and innovation. And when we look at the work of ECA on science, technology, and innovation, all our program is around this STI. In terms of policy development, capacity building, collaboration, partnership, also involvement of private sector, entrepreneurship, very important to develop science and technology and innovation in the continent. I think we can, we start doing a lot of things positive in several countries, but we have a lot of needs and a lot of challenge in the continent. We need to do better. I think with the discussion we are going to have here, we are going to see how we can improve some of our activity to respond better to African challenge for a sustainable, transformative, sustainable development. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Mokhtar. C'est bien de noter un peu le rôle de la CEA dans un peu le leadership dans ce domaine. Je vais passer maintenant à Karim parce que c'est lui qui était l'initiateur de cette session, parce qu'il avait vu qu'il n'y avait pas beaucoup d'Africains donc à l'ITF à Bangkok, mais en général dans le développement de protocoles au niveau de l'ITF. Mais peut-être avant que je te passe la main, en Afrique, peut-être le seul groupe qui fait un travail vraiment important à l'IETF, c'est un groupe de jeunes en Maurice qui ont un groupe qui s'appelle Cyberstorm et ils contribuent au développement de protocoles, y compris des protocoles vraiment très futuristes sur le cryptage post-quantum. Donc vraiment quelque chose du futur. Et j'ai eu la chance, je les connais depuis longtemps, et j'ai eu la chance de leur parler et je leur demandais quelles sont les barrières pour vous. Parce que l'IETF est une organisation ouverte. Vous n'avez pas à payer pour participer à l'IETF. Tous les documents sont disponibles en ligne. Vous pouvez contribuer aux travaux de l'IETF sans aller aux réunions physiques. Donc, normalement, vous n'avez pas à dépenser beaucoup d'argent pour travailler. Donc pour participer. Mais malheureusement, les Africains n'y participent pas. C'est quoi les barrières? Je pense que c'est le manque d'informations. Beaucoup de gens ne connaissent pas. Et j'espère que vous allez au moins faire une recherche en ligne sur IETF et essayer de vous informer et informer d'autres. Donc c'est pour ça qu'on en parle. Mais il y a des petites barrières, quelquefois, qui n'existent pas pour d'autres continents. Par exemple, quand on dit que c'est volontaire, est-ce que beaucoup d'Africains peuvent dépenser beaucoup de temps sur ça? Parce que souvent, ils doivent travailler beaucoup pour survivre. Et ils n'ont pas le luxe, quelquefois, de dépenser énormément de temps, parce que ça demande énormément de temps sur ça. Et l'autre barrière, c'est le fait que leur organisation ne les appuie pas. Parce que la plupart des gens qui travaillent dans les protocoles Internet sont des organisations, travaillent pour des organisations comme Google, Meta, ou il y a toutes ces grandes entreprises, Cisco, ou il y a Huawei, qui leur permettent de travailler sur ça pendant leurs horaires de travail. Ce qui n'est pas le cas en Afrique. En Afrique, si on demande un opérateur chez qui on travaille de nous laisser travailler 3 heures par jour sur ça, il va dire ça ne marche pas. Donc il y a ça comme problème. Et quelquefois il y a des barrières vraiment très simples. Par exemple, ils m'ont dit, les cyberstorms, qu'ils n'arrivent pas à trouver de place de réunion. Donc ils doivent se réunir pour discuter, ils n'arrivent pas à trouver ça. C'est un problème qui pouvait être résolu très facilement par les acteurs locaux, comme les régulateurs par exemple. Et malheureusement, c'est pas le cas. Donc, je m'excuse pour avoir été lent, mais je voulais aussi partager ce que je sais sur ce problème. Karim, quelles sont les barrières que tu as pu connaître, peut-être après avoir discuté avec d'autres Africains qui pourraient participer mais qui ne participent pas aux travaux du UTF?
Merci David.
Asante sana. Ninasisitiza kwanza kwamba
passer la parole pour qu'il puisse continuer également.
Asante kwa nipa nafasi hii.
Je voulais rajouter que effectivement les barrières que les gens avancent, c'est manque d'information. Pourquoi? Parce que effectivement on peut comprendre, accéder aux travaux de l'ITF, même si on n'est pas allé dans une réunion physique de l'ITF. On peut s'inscrire en ligne, suivre les activités sans aller sur place. Par ailleurs, il est important de participer au moins à 1-2 sessions pour nouer les contacts, parce que le contact physique est important pour comprendre la philosophie et le feeling qu'il y a entre les chercheurs, entre les différents contributeurs. Et donc, c'est là où je me dis que les mêmes organisations qui financent des chercheurs comme Huawei, comme Microsoft, comme toutes ces grandes firmes qui financent les chercheurs d'autres régions, ils peuvent financer des Africains parce que il faut aller dans le site de l'ITF, on postule et on a un financement pour aller dans des meetings pour contribuer. L'exemple patent, c'est que moi, quand je suis rentré de la réunion sur l'ITF, j'ai pu commencer ce qu'on appelle un draft, Internet draft. Je ne sais pas si vous voyez à l'écran, mais j'ai pu créer ma première contribution à l'ITF qui s'intitule The ITF is for everyone toward inclusive and equitable participation in Internet governance. C'est pour expliquer que même la problématique de l'inclusion, de la non-participation ou existence de l'Afrique dans les travaux de l'ITF peut faire l'objet d'un RFC et que d'autres personnes peuvent venir contribuer pour que le sujet puisse être visible et aboutir à des résolutions qui peuvent aider à façonner le travail de l'ITF pour demain contribuer aux activités formelles, notamment la production de normes et de standards. Donc moi personnellement, aujourd'hui, mon initiative, c'est effectivement de nous remettre en cause, de dire pourquoi ne pas commencer avec des sessions de démystification. On va prendre des RFC, on va les partager avec des universitaires, leur montrer ce que c'est concrètement, pour qu'on puisse aider, donner envie aux jeunes Africains de toucher à ce domaine-là qui n'a pas encore de personnes, beaucoup de personnes qui s'y intéressent. D'où la nécessité d'aller vers les universitaires, leur faire des séances de présentation, leur montrer c'est quoi un RFC, c'est quoi les protocoles qui sont discutés sur IPv6, c'est quoi les protocoles qui sont discutés sur le HTTPS, etc. Et faire en sorte que ces gens-là puissent s'intéresser. Pourquoi? Parce que si de l'autre côté, au sein de l'IGF, on décide, ok, on va organiser une réunion ITF en Afrique, il ne faudrait pas qu'on vienne trouver un boulevard où il n'y a aucune personne qui s'y intéresse, il n'y a aucune personne qui est en mesure de contribuer. Donc, je crois que quand on voit le rôle de ISOC, et notamment les chapitres ISOC en Afrique, on peut s'appuyer sur ces chapitres-là pour faire ce travail de sensibilisation et de démystification de ce que c'est l'ITF pour intéresser plus de gens dans les travaux de l'ITF. Et je crois que l'aide qu'on aura après, c'est peut-être donné à ceux qui ont déjà contribué en ligne, ceux qui sont déjà interagis le maximum de fois en ligne. On va pouvoir leur donner peut-être des billets pour qu'ils aillent sur place afin d'asseoir, d'interagir encore plus, d'approfondir leur interaction avec les autres personnes qui sont dans ITF. Et donc, à mon avis, on a beaucoup de mécanismes pour enlever ces barrières, parce que ces barrières, à mon avis, c'est une manque d'information, mais je ne vois pas les gens qui sont en Afrique, qui contribuent dans le domaine des réseaux, des protocoles Internet, en local ou dans des universités, ne pas pouvoir le faire au niveau de l'ITF. Voilà pour cette contribution. Merci.
Merci Karim. Je vais passer tout de suite vers Sergio Luis Cossa, qui est l'un des panélistes qui n'était pas là au début de la session. Sergio, I hear that you are online, so I would like to ask you maybe first to introduce yourself, and then to tell us how we can use existing synergies like PRIDA, A4AI, IGF, or other organizations such as ISOC to change the current situation. I think everybody agrees that we are not comfortable with where we are. So can we change with things with what we already have, the processes, the organization that we have, or should we invent something that will help us really go out of the status quo? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be part of that African IGF, especially to the special panelists that I'm joining too. Thank you, Karim, to invite me for that important thing. Well, my name is Sergio Luis Cossa. I'm Mozambican. I'm master in information system. I'm working as an internet governance and digital transformation expert as a consultant. I had a lot of opportunity in African Union through the PRIDA project to develop my career on helping the continent to organize and to build a national internet governance initiative, also to promote digital transformation as happening. Thank you. Going to the point that you are raising, we don't have a lot to change. We have a lot of opportunities to use
katika kutatua pengo ambalo tunalo
our less participation on internet engineering
ushiriki wetu mdogo katika kikosi cha kusukuma mbele katika masuala haya ya kimtandao. Tuna chuo kikuu ambacho ambapo teknolojia zinatengenezwa.
Have that synergy with that internet engineering task force with the academia. It's very important. We have also many initiatives, even like PRIDA. PRIDA brought on a platform that create a capacity building for the continent through the School of Internet Governance, which is a place where we can discuss that important information related to the standardization. We have platforms like HISOC. Also, I would like to highlight one important platform that is strong in our continent. It's recent but it's strong. I think that you have heard about Pan-African Youth Ambassador on Internet Governance. It's a multilingual platform with teenagers, young, with capacity. Those young, those teenagers are students at university. So we need to involve them on that kind of platform so they will disseminate, they will start, since they are our present and future scientists, so they can help us develop the standards on what we are discussing. Just to mention that our misrepresentation on that platform, it's mean our initiative in the continent is less or it's non-existent, which is not true. We need to have a place on that table to sit and discuss as an African. According to the statistics, Africa is growing on developing its internet. So it's important to mention that we have a capacity and we need to be part technically and scientifically to grow the standards in our continent.
Thank you very much, Sergio. I have to cut you here because I'm conscious of the time and we have 10 minutes, and I want to use these 10 minutes for something that Karim asked me to do, is to make sure that we have some clear actions. So I don't think there's anyone in the room that accepts that in 20 years we are where we are today. So how do we make sure that we change the current situation? What are the things that you would suggest? Maybe 1 minute from each panelist, and then we'll give the audience a few more minutes so that they can ask their questions. I wished it would be broad, but I will limit the questions on that topic so that we can go out without further delay. So maybe I will start with Craig and then I'll go to Karim.
Thank you very much, and really interesting to hear the other panelists' views there, which I found absolutely fascinating. I think I've actually got two actions that I am going to take away as a UK government official here. The first one, I think, was down to something that Dr. Sek said, and it's down to the difference between Africa being a predominantly, majoritively Francophone speaking continent compared to speaking English. As an action for me to take away to really sort of push the need for multilingualism in all the resources and documents that are produced from the likes of the ITF. And I think the second one as well is that really sort of ensuring that resources are put into Africa. I think it was mentioned earlier that a lot of money goes into the running of the event to the ITF and to sponsoring pieces of work, but actually there's a lot of work that we can do as governments of the North, but also some of the big companies to really ensure that programs are established to ensure that technical community, stakeholders from across Africa really are able to participate in a meaningful way, whether that be in person or with access to appropriate resources.
Thank you so much, Craig.
Asante sana, Greg.
Makta.
Makta, tafadhali.
1 minute.
Dakika moja, tafadhali.
Thank you very much. I think it was a very interesting discussion. But the key takeaway is we need this collaboration between the government, policy, research, as well as innovation, institution, and innovator. Also, we have some issue in the continent regarding development of science, technology, and innovation. The marginalized people and vulnerable are not involved, and we should involve them on this technology innovation. People with disability. We organized here 2 years ago a training session on digital skills in Tanzania, and we get a lot of people with disability. They attend the training, and at the end of the course, they develop a lot of innovative projects in several sectors, in Internet of Things, on 3D printing, AI. I think we need to take into consideration when we develop our policy, science, technology, innovation, the involvement, participation of the people with disability, and to strengthen the scope of collaboration between at the country level, at the sub-regional level, and at the continental level.
Merci, Makta. Karim, à toi de nous dire les actions concrètes que tu veux voir.
Merci beaucoup, David. Moi, je rajouterai au point que les deux panélistes qui m'ont précédé ont rapporté qu'on a besoin d'une préparation institutionnelle afin de contribuer au niveau des travaux de l'ITF. À mon avis, nous devons nous assurer que nos universitaires, des enseignants dans le domaine des technologies parlent des travaux de l'ITF afin de les démystifier, afin de les rapprocher le plus de ce public, parce que quand les jeunes vont voir ce que sont les protocoles, les RFC produits à niveau de l'ITF, je suis sûr que ça va décomplexer, ça va ouvrir la porte à beaucoup de contributions. La deuxième chose, c'est que nous devons continuer, quand il y a des réunions de l'ITF, clamer à ce qu'il y ait une réunion de l'ITF en Afrique. Et je crois que c'est une mission que African IGF, au niveau de ISOC Afrique, parce qu'on a quand même beaucoup de chapitres ISOC, nous pouvons faire le plaidoyer afin que l'on arrive à organiser une réunion de l'ITF, parce que quand on vient en Afrique retrouver les jeunes chercheurs, les scientifiques en Afrique, je vous assure, quand on voit comment se déroule ce genre de réunion, ça va permettre de contribuer au même titre que les autres. Voilà, je laisse Sergio donner ses points également. Merci.
Merci Karim. Sergio, can you give us in less than a minute what are the actions that you would suggest?
Thank you very much. There are a lot of actions, but I can select the synergy that is very important that will need to be created. I'm talking about academia, the School of Internet Governance, and the ICT regulators need to bring attention for the Internet Engineering Task Force subject in every country to be discussed. Also to invite the secretariat of that Internet Engineering Task Force to make presence, especially in my continent, especially representatives in countries will be better. So more initiative, more discussion about standards can be involve more participants. And finally, please, we need to pay attention for the one group composed by the young that we have here in Africa at the moment. I'm talking about the youth, the Pan-African Youth Ambassador on Internet Governance. We have a lot of fellows there. And we need to give duty and responsibility for that group of present and future engineers and scientists. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergio. I will take 30 seconds for myself to talk about the actions that we need. We need a vision for Africa, where we want to go, and a program. And I hope, Karim, maybe I can ask you not to stop with this session, but try to push so that we can all have something we can rally behind. Now let me give the participants the opportunity to ask questions and also tell us what actions we can have in order to make sure that Africa is on the table of technical standards development. There's someone at the back. Can you introduce yourself and then tell us in less than 30 seconds what the comment or question?
Maoni yako.
Someone
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Je vais parler en français.
Mimi nitazungumza kwa Kifaransa, ninaanza kwa maoni machache.
Je m'introduis d'abord. Je suis Christian Fazili Mihigo. Je viens de la République démocratique du Congo. Et je suis très content parce que c'est la première session à laquelle je participe où elle se tient en français beaucoup plus qu'en anglais. J'ai aimé les commentaires du premier intervenant lorsqu'il parlait en termes d'opportunités pour les pays francophones. Et je crois que les pays francophones ne sont pas trop représentés dans plusieurs opportunités, notamment celle-ci. Vous allez constater avec moi qu'il y a moins de représentation des participants qui viennent des pays francophones. Pourtant, nous avons un grand nombre de gens qui sont intéressés par plusieurs activités que vous faites. Ça, c'est juste un petit commentaire que je voulais commencer avec. Et surtout que je viens des plus grands pays francophones en termes d'interlocuteurs. La République démocratique du Congo, connu comme un pays avec beaucoup de potentialités, mais actuellement sous l'occupation d'une partie de son territoire et qui ne permet même pas son développement. C'est aussi un moyen de faire un plaidoyer par rapport à la paix chez nous en République démocratique du Congo et spécifiquement là où je viens, à Goma, à l'Est. Alors ma question est celle-ci, elle s'adresse particulièrement à Karim. Comment on peut obtenir ou accéder aux opportunités de l'IETF? Et je voulais savoir si ces opportunités ne concernent que les ingénieurs où il y a une diversité, les gens qui ont un profil, un autre background. Par exemple, moi en tant que juriste, est-ce que je peux accéder aux opportunités dans IETF, mais aussi avec ma casquette, parce que je suis également chercheur et enseignant à l'université de Goma, comment je peux bénéficier des opportunités de l'IETF ou comment les gens de mon université de Goma, parce que nous avons une faculté qui est du domaine de la technologie, comment elle peut accéder à ce genre d'opportunités? Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Christian. J'ai promis aux panélistes qu'on ne va pas rester plus de 10 minutes parce qu'ils ont d'autres programmes. Donc voilà ce que je propose. Karim, tu réponds, mais vraiment brièvement. Et s'il y a des gens qui ont besoin de plus d'informations sur IETF, je vais rester dans la salle et je serai bien content de donner toutes les précisions qu'il le faut. Donc, essaye d'être bref. S'il y a besoin, je suis dans la salle.
Okay. Rapidement, merci pour cette question. Il faut savoir que, effectivement, pour développer des standards, on a besoin de toutes les compétences. Pourquoi? Parce que une technologie a des impacts et ces impacts doivent aussi être canalisés, réglementés. Et donc, quand on va à l'IETF, on développe des politiques, on développe des standards, mais ces standards, pour qu'ils puissent être adoptés dans les pays, il faut que des lois soient votées, il faut que des réglementations soient mises en place. Et donc, oui, votre place de juriste ou de chercheur est requise. Quand je vous dis par exemple un request for comment qui dit the internet is for everyone, on croirait que c'est de la technique. Or que c'est un postulat qui édicte le fait que l'internet est pour tout le monde. Et donc, oui, votre place est requise et vous pouvez contribuer, vous pouvez suivre des activités qui se font et donner vos contributions. Et dans le domaine du développement de politique, policymaker, on a besoin de toutes ces compétences pour s'assurer que les normes et les protocoles n'enfreignent pas d'autres réglementations ou d'autres lois. Merci.
Merci Karim. Je pense que Maktar veut aussi ajouter.
Sur la standardisation, je pense qu'il est nécessaire que, comme Karim l'a dit, tout le monde est le bienvenu au niveau de la définition des normes. Mais on doit impliquer les industries dans la définition des normes, dans cette recherche, dans ce travail de recherche. Et aussi, comment créer la passerelle avec ITU. Because ITU, Union internationale des télécommunications, ils ont un bureau dédié à la standardisation et aux normes. Et on doit tenir en compte de ce qui se fait au niveau du network de IP, au niveau de cette standardisation. Donc ce lien, Karim, est très important de voir comment on peut mettre le lien entre les chercheurs africains qui travaillent sur le sujet et ce qui se passe au niveau international. Mais comme vous le savez, les normes sont définies en général en collaboration avec les grosses industries. ITU est là, peut-être qu'ils peuvent nous apporter quelques éléments sur what they are doing on the ITFS standard with the Standardization Bureau. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Emmanuel Menasse is here. I don't know if he wants to speak, but ITF and ITU work closely because they are complementary. So they are working on different layers. ITF works, if you are, I don't know if it is clear to everyone, but they like to say we are above the layer, the cable, and below the application. So that is their scope. And ITU is more on the layer side. So, but they have to communicate. That's why, for example, they have liaison officers that help them make sure that they work together. Dr. Menasse, if you have, you want to speak, can someone give him the mic? Okay. And maybe you can go later. There is the lady at the front who wants to say something, so please go, and then Dr. Menasse can speak.
Ok, merci de m'avoir donné la parole. Je reviens sur...
Est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter, s'il vous plaît?
Je suis Ali Janatou Saliou Arekpa, députée à l'Assemblée nationale du Bénin. Je suis la coordinatrice du réseau des parlementaires pour le numérique et l'identification des personnes. Et mon pays a accueilli le SMC récemment, il y a 2 semaines. Alors, plus je suis là, plus je découvre et plus je suis intéressée. Il y a beaucoup de questions, mais je vais aller sur une seule question. Le docteur Sek a parlé du barrage linguistique qui est vraiment un frein, et pas seulement pour les chercheurs et autres, mais pour la jeunesse. Et il y a M. Grec qui est revenu sur la question, et ça appelle vraiment à la réflexion. Parce que cette question, au cours de la conférence que nous avons eue à Cotonou, a été posée par le représentant de la jeunesse. Nous savons que l'Internet est inclusif et les jeunes, mais les bénéficiaires sont vraiment les jeunes. Et dans toute cette discussion, il est question d'amener les jeunes à la table des discussions, de les impliquer, un certain nombre de dispositions. Alors, la question qui est venue, qui est posée, que je retransmets ici est: toutes les applications sont en anglais, comment l'appelle-t-on, les interventions sont en anglais. Alors, la jeunesse, nous les appelons à intervenir. Ça freine un peu l'innovation et ce qu'ils peuvent apporter, parce que pour intervenir efficacement et aller à l'innovation, il faut bien qu'ils puissent traduire les applications, les comprendre et pouvoir les appliquer. Alors, voilà la question. Et ça se pose à nous tous. Je pense que c'est une question qui mérite que nous prenions vraiment très au sérieux. Je rappelle qu'il y a 14 pays francophones dans en Afrique. Et ce sont ces pays qui sont marginalisés. On ne le dit pas assez. Et voyez-vous, même dans les discours et tout ça, alors nous n'avons pas assez de temps. Je voudrais qu'on y réfléchisse sérieusement et qu'une décision vraiment appropriée et efficace soit prise. Je vous remercie.
Merci, honorable. Je voudrais ajouter sur ça qu'un des problèmes de l'IETF, et ils le reconnaissent, je suppose, c'est que tous leurs documents sont en anglais. Donc, comparé à d'autres organisations, par exemple des Nations Unies, qui ont plusieurs langues comme langue de travail, IETF ne reconnaît que l'anglais. Pour diverses raisons historiques, mais aussi financières, etc. Donc, est-ce que c'est une barrière pour l'Afrique? Ça, c'est aussi quelque chose à considérer pendant des discussions futures. Là, quiconque veut répondre à ça. Oui, il y a Karim après.
Je remercie l'honorable député pour ça. La première des choses, c'est que nous qui sommes francophones, osons user de cette langue aussi pour participer, interagir, pour que le besoin puisse se faire sentir. La deuxième chose, peut constituer un facteur d'intégration parce que avec l'intelligence artificielle, on arrive à avoir des outils qui peuvent aider à traduire et donc à constituer un passerelle entre les différents intervenants. Donc je crois que la difficulté que nous avons en Afrique en termes de richesse, pourquoi? Parce que on a beaucoup de langues, on a beaucoup de dialectes. On n'est pas comme ailleurs où ils ont un seul dialecte, le latin on le traduit et ça va, mais chez nous, déjà on a beaucoup de langues, de dialectes, qui ne sont pas digitalisés, ni enseignés, ni cartographiés scientifiquement, et l'apport de l'intelligence artificielle aujourd'hui peut aider l'Afrique à faire en sorte que les langues soient enseignées, que les chercheurs puissent s'y pencher et que l'on puisse créer ce passerelle qui permettra à nos jeunes générations de comprendre ce qui se fait en Swahili, en Lingala, avec tous les dialectes que nous connaissons, est inimaginable. Donc je crois que nous devons continuer à enseigner, nous devons continuer à nous approprier ces outils, afin que nous soyons de la partie, parce que les anglophones, ils ne nous entendent pas, mais ils continuent à avancer, à développer leurs choses en anglais. C'est à nous de nous rattraper et de continuer à être sur la table et à nous affirmer en français, pourquoi pas avec les autres langues. Merci.
Merci Karim. Craig, if you can add on that, we'll go to Dr. Manasseh and then we'll have to stop because we are really very late.
Première, je suis désolé, mon français ne bon pas, so I'm sorry, I will speak in English and I apologize for that. But just to say, I think I agree with a lot of what Karim has said, but I think it really should not be too much to ask for to have multiple languages at this stage of where we are in development of technologies and the internet. It really doesn't make sense to me. And I know certainly from a UK government perspective, we are encouraging organisations like the IETF and ICANN particularly, which manages domain names and sort of numbering for websites, that there really needs to be a lot more allocation available for say applications and websites in other languages, and I think it's a very minimum, as Dawit said, that the United Nations is English and French, but that is absolutely the bare minimum. It really should not be difficult to have more. Even addressing some of the challenges, say potentially in Africa, where there are a lot more dialects, a lot more local languages. Really, as I say, shouldn't really be much at this moment, at this day, during these current times, that we are still having this conversation and that we still don't have the appropriate resource, the appropriate linguistic sort of accessibility on the internet and through the likes of the IETF. So it's something that's very much on the radar of governments, and obviously we really want to work with others. I know the accessibility for, say, African communities and stakeholders maybe isn't as obviously the challenge we're talking about right now in accessing the IETF and ICANN, but hopefully with the work that we are actually doing, things should hopefully get better in the coming times. But I just want to make it sort of clear that it really is a priority for us at the global level to make sure that this is something that happens sooner, very quicker rather than any sooner.
Thank you, Craig. Emmanuel, would you like to say a few words?
Manuel, ongeza kuwa na maneno la kuongeza.
Hello, can you hear me?
Je, unanisikia?
Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
I was paying attention for the complaint
kuhusu malalamiko hasa upande wa kuzungumza Kifaransa.
My language is Portuguese. Even in translation here for that African IGF, it's not included officially. The translation here, Portuguese is not included. Do you imagine how many countries, how many parochies in Africa? We are 5 countries only. I can say that we are excluded on that platform. So just to say we need to be more inclusion, internet is inclusion. And I agree with Francophonie, but we are words in the Portuguese speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergio. That's correct. Unfortunately, there are many languages in Africa that are not present in this conference. And I hope that with artificial intelligence, we will have all the languages whenever we meet.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ato Dawit, for giving me this floor. First of all, there's an African wisdom that says there's no one person that can embrace or can hug the baobab tree. We need to join our hands. We need to join together to be able to embrace the baobab tree. And they said wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one can embrace it. So the same as he mentioned regarding the issue of internet, universal access to internet is not one institution, no one organization can do it alone. All these platforms, all these meeting conferences, they all add up to what we need to ensure that everyone has access to the internet. The issue of language really came up. In the morning, I think in our conversation, I was sharing about trying to solve African pressing needs. One of the issues is the language. We have rich languages. You find one country with 200 languages, set aside the one that we are talking about, this international one. Let's embrace the power. Let's leverage the power of AI to ensure that we have all these languages developed and enhanced so that we don't lose our heritages. Let us also embrace that to ensure that in the upcoming meetings, each one of us with the Africa large language models will be able to get the translation on their own mother tongue or their own language that they use, because artificial intelligence has the ability to do that. Let's invest on that. And I think it's the right thing to do, because set aside these languages that are nationally spoken. There are a lot of local languages that are spoken, and we need also to embrace, because this demonstrates the culture, demonstrates our values in African countries, and we should not allow them just to diminish simple like that. So technology can help us on all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mary, I can't say no to Mary, but we don't have time. So Mary, be very, very quick. 30 seconds.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I just want to say that beyond language, beyond all these, the language barriers, we need to change our curriculum in our different nations to include internet governance, which will bring to fore our children will get to know, our students will get to know about IETF. Because if it's in the curriculum, then they will know, they will be part of the scientific community that will develop, and you know that internet comes from research. Let's incentivize our students to know about research on internet. Thank you.
These are very wise words that I think will enable us to close this meeting. I think we had very interesting discussions. That shouldn't be the end, because we have a long journey in front of us if we want to have Africa well represented in IETF, and I hope that we'll have the discussion. I would like to ask UNECA, ITU, and other organizations to join us for future discussions, so that we have a vision, a program, and we go to friends like Craig with that to support us, because otherwise we'll just be talking and in a few years we'll still be around. So thank you very much for spending your lunch time with us. I hope there is still some lunch for you, and looking forward for future discussions on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.